Thank you, JC. I appreciate you clearing the stage for the cooler people here. So yes, my name is Erin, and this is also Erin, and together we call ourselves Erin Squared, because why not? That's what everybody at Element pretty much calls us, and that's just how we are. So where are all my content and Marcom people in the audience? Raise your hand. Okay, cool. These are my people here. This presentation you're going to absolutely love. You've probably heard of or been to a session maybe this weekend where it's called Vibe Coding. And we kind of heard that, and we listened to the Generation AI podcast on Enrollify, and Artis and JC talked about vibe coding. And our marketing team works very quickly. And so we were kind of sitting there and we were like, why don't we apply that to vibe marketing? So Erin Newton and I are going to take you through how we do vibe marketing at the speed of AI and how you can create content in under 10 minutes or less as well.
Thank you, and thank you all for joining us today. Here is our ChatGPT created logo for Erin Squared. And as Erin 1 of Erin Squared mentioned, this comes from vibe coding. And so long time ago in February of this year, one of the co-founders of OpenAI came up with this term vibe coding. And essentially what he was describing is how he goes into an LLM or one of the a replit that Doug described, and just says, this is what I want to build. And it is unlike any software development project that you probably have been involved before. There's no wireframes, there's no Gantt charts, there's no what data is going to talk to this data. It's just, hey, build me this thing. And you can imagine he's a very skilled coder and programmer, but it is just fun to kind of go into an LLM and see what you can build. So I was actually doing a very human thing, something that agents I don't think will ever be able to replace. I was building a Wayfair dresser for my 7-year-old when I was listening to a podcast about this. And I was like, as Erin mentioned, oh, this is kind of what we've been doing in the Element marketing team. And we meet often and say, what are you doing with AI? And we were talking, we're like, the way that you prompt is kind of very similar to the way I do. And I was like, oh, this actually sounds a lot like this vibe coding thing. We're vibe marketing. So we are going to show you today an example of how we go about doing that. And within about 8 minutes, you will be able to vibe code on your own, or you might be like, oh, I've been vibe coding too, and I didn't even know it. So it starts with creating the concept and the copy. And so with a prompt, I just went in and said, I want to create some social ads about Bolt agents. You're all familiar with those now after the past couple of days. And said, I want to talk about the problems that they solve. And so this actually what JC was showing you about giving context and grounding to your prompt. I gave it some Google Docs that I had. One of them is a messaging brief, which again, comms and marketing folks, this is the document you're supposed to create before you do a campaign. Doesn't always happen, but we did it for Bolt agents. So I wanted our LLM to know what are Bolt agents. Otherwise, it's not going to know what to tell me for this ad that I'm trying to create. I also, want to show you some other documents that I gave it so that it could have some grounding. We have our brand voice and tone guide, which is a combination of kind of what general best practices in web writing and copywriting are, and then, my personal pet peeves, sentences no longer than 25 words, things like that you probably have within your department. And then we also gave it, this is an example of a deep research project we had done previously where we asked the GPT to go in, find us all the best practices in visual design, and create a document for us and gave examples. And so with these documents, you can imagine these are the things that we traditionally give humans when we say, hey, we want to create something here, go look at all these documents. Instead, we're giving it to ChatGPT, and in most of the cases, ChatGPT was actually played a part in creating the documents themselves. Let's see. That's me just vibe marketing in real time. We'll skip that. And this is what the output was. So I got what I asked for. I got 5 concepts with copy. They're all pretty strong, and part of that is because I gave it some good guidance to be grounded on, so it knew what I was talking about. I kind of, it's like giving good direction to if you work with a freelancer or an agency or somebody else on your team. I particularly liked this one in the middle, Saturday inbox cleared by Sunday. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go give this to Erin and see what she can come up with visually so that we can create a full ad. And she's going to show you what she did.
Okay, so would you point the clicker for me? Thank you. Okay, so just like Erin passed the mic, she's passing on the concept for me, and we nailed the concept, okay? The copy is what the kids like to call tight these days, but here is where I find I'm a social media person, and where I find in social media is where a lot of ideas fall flat is nailing the visuals and failing to create visuals that hit particularly. When you're a social person like me, when you're scrolling through LinkedIn, you have to think about what's going to stop someone's scroll, and that's not always the easiest thing to create. So the next phase is all about turning those word vibes into visual vibes, because your audience doesn't just want to read a message, but they also want to feel it as well, especially in a spot like higher ed where attention is very limited and expectations are very high. Every asset that you put has to work harder and faster than the one before it. So here's how I used AI, not just to generate visuals, but to direct and refine them like a creative partner as well. So this is the initial image, or this is the initial prompt that I put in ChatGPT, and I used the O3 model. I suggest that you use the same for something like this as well. Notice what I didn't say in this prompt. So I didn't ask for something really vague like, oh, hey, make this really cool graphic. That leaves it way too wide open, so you need to make sure that you're specific and not vague. You can't be vague here, so I gave it crystal clear objectives. That is something like, for example, simple and striking, one core visual idea per concept, and also reinforces the message of that ad copy. I always find it's a good idea if you have a previous document or something that you've created that you want it to reference, then also reference that in your prompt as well. Next slide, please. So out of the 5 ideas that it gave back, the one that stood out to me the most was a single coffee mug on a spotless desk with steam spelling, 0 email. Calendar in the background barely shows Sunday, and everything else is blank. God bless you. And that is the vibe. It instantly communicates calm, it's aspirational, it doesn't just tell you that the inbox is clear, but it also shows you as well, and it gives you that clarity. That's the emotional resonance that we're going for in good marketing. Next slide, please. So here's what the AI came back with initially, and it's close. As a first draft, it's close. Clean desk, clean mug, soft morning light. Is it perfect? Not by any means, but does it have a usable direction? Absolutely, and that's something that we can work with. This is where vibe marketing becomes collaborative. You don't need the image at the very front or the start to be perfect out of the gate. Essentially, you don't want it to be like that, but you need to know what to ask for next. So my first note that went with that as a creative was, hey, can the mug say 0 inbox club on it? And why? Because this is where you inject culture and what's going on around you. That phrase has insider energy, it creates community, it sparks the Me Too moment for people buried in unread emails. I mean, I don't know about anybody else out there, but personally, my mail app on my iPhone has said 99 plus with a red bubble for like years, and it's never getting down below that. I'm sure that other people are out like that too, so it sparks kind of like that, oh, hey, I feel that too. Vibe marketing is about making your audience feel seen, and that tiny change does just a snippet of that, but we've got to keep vibing. So here's that updated visual, same core scene, but now it has that language that connects. That version is way cleaner and more shareable content. It's minimal, but it does have that cute little wink for it that we're wanting. The balance between clever and clear is where the magic lives in the next slide, though. So now from there, what I did is I asked, hey, even though we're making and we're vibing with these images, that doesn't mean that it needs to be off-brand. It shouldn't be off-brand. If you're a creative, you get that. So what I did is I went and I further refined this image, and I said, hey, can you make the handle and the text on the mug #FE5000, which is Elements Iconic Orange. So I did that. And look at that. It's like magic. The text and the handle are orange. So you got to think when you're vibe marketing, especially with images, it's really best to go step by step. So if you're like, oh, hey, like I want this mug to be in a park, and I actually want this to be a tumbler, and actually I want the coffee spilled on the left for whatever reason, it's going to give you all bunch of junk in one prompt. So if you go one by one, that's the best. I don't know who else has experience with image generation, but ChatGPT has come a very long way. Like I said, especially with the O3 model, because I remember when I started with image generation in ChatGPT, and you'd ask for like someone holding a pencil at a desk, and it would give them like 5 arms, and like the pencil would be morphed together. So to get to this point is something that is really quite phenomenal. Okay, so there's one last thing, and I'm like, you think back to that scroll stopping moment, and you're like, how do I communicate visually about this 0 inbox beyond just something being clearly written on the mug? So I'm like, hey, can you add a laptop behind the mug that shows a real 0 unread email inbox in Microsoft Outlook? So nonetheless, look at that, a laptop open with Outlook, and it says 0 inbox. So I think that's really cool. Like I said, this took me maybe 5 minutes to do from the content that Erin Newton gave me. Just remember to keep that flow, being creative. That's what vibing is. I think we're in a really fun era of marketing where we've had more creative and the power to be creative if you're not historically a creative than ever before. And I encourage you all to try that out and just experiment like a sandbox.